You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
What is up? What is up, guys? Welcome to a very special live. So today I have a very special guest, and he is a former webcam manager slash talent scout. And today I'm going to be asking him some questions regarding the webcam industry. So this one is definitely going to be very interesting live. Got a bunch of questions that you guys have sent in, as well as some that I've come up with on my own. So being that this is something very prevalent here in Medellin, Colombia, I figured, it's best to get a professional on and get his point of view. I know a lot of people have a lot of curiosity regarding this industry and how it functions here in Colombia and what impact it makes on, general society and life here in Colombia. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him up. Let me see here. And what's going on? What's going on? Medellin Unfiltered. How are you?
Great, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So if you can do me a favor, go ahead and introduce yourself and, give your credentials.
Sure. So I'm Steve with Medellin Unfiltered. I worked in the webcam business. As you said, I worked in the webcam industry for about 14 years total between two different sites, one for 13 years and one for a year. After a while, I just realized it's kind of time to get out. But yeah, so basically I worked on I didn't work as a studio owner, so I never would want to do that. But I worked as I was called the talent manager. So it's basically the job was that I worked directly with the models and I interfaced with them directly in the studios as well to kind of help them get what they needed and answer any questions that they have. And yeah, so that was basically my job, was to keep the models coming back and keep them wanting to broadcast on the site. Okay. Because there's a bunch of different sites out there. So you have to stand out somehow.
Of course. And when did you come to Medellin?
So the first time I came here was 2014.
Okay.
So I came here for there's a conference that happens every year here called LAL Expo, LAL Expo. Mm-hmm. And it just happened 2 weeks ago or a week ago in Cali. But it was here in Medellin when I came. And it was also the week that Narcos was released, the first season of Narcos. Okay. So when I told my friends that I was coming to Colombia, they're like, "Oh my God, are you crazy?" And then, "Well, where are you going?" Medellin. They're like, "What are you doing? What are you doing to yourself?"
Yeah.
That was like a decade ago, right? 2 decades mm-hmm. ago. We're good. Yeah. But yeah, I came here for the first time in 2014 for that.
Okay. And why Colombia? Or like what made you decide to come to Medellin?
So when I kind of came here by accident, not by accident, I didn't get on the wrong plane and end up here, but we came here because Colombia is the second largest collection of talent for the webcam industry in the world. The biggest being Romania. Romania's got the most models, which you wouldn't think, but
no.
To have a good webcam area, you need 3 things. You need economic issues where it's hard to work. There's not a lot of industry. Romania doesn't have a lot of industry. You need beautiful women, which both Romania and Colombia have. And where Romania, why it's bigger, is you need English speaking. English speaking is going to be a huge thing. Not as much here, but it's, it happens, but not frequently enough. So, yeah.
Okay. So the company or the site you were working with was based out of the US, not actually here in Colombia.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, I was actually the first person in the company's history to work remotely. This before 2020. So when I came here,
yeah, when it wasn't popular,
it was not popular.
Yeah.
I had to convince my CEO. Actually, I didn't have to convince him hard. He said, hey, if you want to work remotely, you can do it in Romania or you can do it in Colombia. I'm not a snow person, man. Romania is out.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're going to get into some questions that I have here, some from myself and then also some from some of the subscribers that they sent in. So let me go over some of those. Also, guys, by the way, if you have any questions as well, you can go ahead and throw them in the chat and we will get to them somewhere within this live. So starting off with the first question, can you walk me through what a standard day looked like for either a manager or a talent scout, and how much of the job was actually technical versus emotional management?
Ooh, that's a great question. Oh, you hit the nail on the head there with the emotional part. So basically, I worked a lot of hours because the bad thing with working in a situation like that is I had to sort of be on with Romania time, and Romania is 8 hours ahead of the West Coast. So I had 8 full hours that I had to kind of be ready just in case. But so I'd usually start at like 4 a.m. and then I had here, which is 2 or 3 hours ahead of the West Coast. So my day was typically somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't like constant, but it was okay. I gotta keep an eye on everything and make sure. And with the good, I guess it's a good and a bad thing, is that it didn't require me to be like paying attention 24/7 to it. It's not like I'm flying an airplane or something where I have to be on all the time. But it is good. The good part is that I kind of knew everything that was going on because I kind of had my finger in every pie of the company. Because I had to know everything that was going on. So I knew when there was a tech issue. I talked with our dev team. I had contacts going with our tech team. I had everybody. So this is at the beginning of Slack, and even now, if I hear a Slack notification, I cringe a little bit, even if it's on someone else's phone.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd say as far as technical, you do need quite a bit of tech expertise to do the job, because you need to know the site inside and out. You need to know broadcasting software inside and out. You need to know basics on networking, everything. So you do need to know a lot about that. But at the same time, I would say more than 60% of the job is probably emotional maintenance for people. That's the studio owners. By the way, the studio owners are some of the biggest divas in the industry, even bigger divas than the girls.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That happens.
Yeah, I can imagine.
60% was keeping people motivated and wanting to work and listening to hearing their problems and all of that. It was
okay. All right. So my next question here is, what made you get into the webcam industry, or, how did you start? Like at what point in your life you're like, I think I want to manage webcam talent, because it's not like a traditional line of work most people would get into. So yeah.
It's actually kind of a weird setup. I know this will sound even weirder when I say it, but I actually answered an ad on Craigslist, and it was for a regular job. So it was for a tech job. So before I'd started the model management stuff and the talent management, I worked for 5 years as one of the tech people for the site, as on the top level of tech support. So because of that, we were some of the most knowledgeable people about the website itself. So I did that, but then I guess I'm going to out the site. It was called cams.com, and it still is. It's still called cams.com. But we were owned by Penthouse, or we were partnered with Penthouse. And I have a film background, so we used to do special shows. and we did a couple of the special shows, and they killed it. They absolutely crushed. And so the CEO, they started sending me to LA to oversee the shows. And then after that, when I got there, people were like, "Oh, we like this guy." So I ended up getting promoted into that position. So I started, I guess, not to steal rap lyrics, but I started at the bottom and worked my way up. Now I'm here.
Gotcha. Okay. We have one question here, I guess, for you. Are you sad about the 76ers getting swept?
It hasn't happened yet, but yeah, I am sad. They're done. They're done.
I guess that might be one of your subs. All right. So, because I'm not really a basketball fan that much.
I'm wearing the Flyers because they might get swept tonight too. But I'm a journalist as well. I write for the Philly newspaper. So
okay.
Yeah, probably one of my subs.
All right. So next question. What age do most models get into the industry, and what's the age range?
So I'd say the average age is about 23, 24. There's some that start early. There's some that start at 18. But I'd say the average is about 23-ish. And what's funny is that the most successful ones aren't the younger ones. The more successful ones are the older ones, the ones in their 30s. They tend to do a little bit better in the industry. I think it's because the biggest thing is it's a work ethic thing. And I don't think they don't realize that, hey, this is a lot of work. I think that it's sold the way people sell it and the way studios sell it is it's easy and fast money, which if you know Colombian women, that's their ears are listening. When you say easy money, they're like, oh, easy money, fast money. Yeah. So, but then they get in and they're like, oh, this is work. This is a job. I got to be consistent. And it's tough. But the older girls tend to do better because they have a little better work ethic, and they probably have more. They have more to lose. Honestly, they have kids.
Yeah, that's crazy. I expected it probably to be the younger girls, since obviously men are the primary consumers of beauty, and generally everyone finds most beauty between 18 to maybe 28 or 30, somewhere around there. So yeah, that's surprising to hear that.
I'll say it. I'll be not so nice about it. Those girls are boring. They really are boring. At that age, what do they have to talk about? What can you? It's right to show me this, show me that, show me. And the guys are like, oh, once they see it, they're like, okay, it's not different than other girls. Next. Yeah. And the other part is too that for our site, we had about 1,000 girls on at any time, at any moment. And like Chatterbait, for example, has 5,000 to 6,000 on at any time. So there's so much variety. So guys bounce around. There's some that they fixate on one girl or one person and they stick to that person. But most of them bounce around. They get what they need and then they go about their day.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next question is, how many years does the average model last in the industry?
That's a great question. Typically, they last about 2 years. 2 to 3 years is probably the average. Because there's some girls that do it for 6 months and they bounce. But then there's some girls, like a girl that I dated for a while. She's been 15 years in the market. So there's a wide range, but I would say most of them, there's not a lot of longevity in the job. There is, but I think people just get kind of burned out on doing it. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know, like, generally it's kind of the same thing with the porn industry. A lot of women don't really last too long in there. It could be maybe, 3-4 years or something like that. Usually most women are out by like 25 or 26, something like that. But yeah, that's it. Wow, it's even shorter. All right. Next question. What makes a model earn a lot of money besides her looks?
Honestly, I'd say looks are probably the second most important thing. I mean, looks are important. Yeah, we're guys, we're visual creatures. But I think that have the ability, there's two things probably, and they're kind of connected. One is the ability to have a conversation. If a girl can't have a conversation, it's great. I'm going to look at what I need to like get what I need, and then I'm going to go away. And that's it. Then I'm going to be on to the next. But what keeps guys coming back is the conversation. And this is the truth. The successful girls, the successful models aren't the most beautiful ones. Beauty is a big thing, but it's the ability to sell a fantasy. That's the most important thing. If there was a job requirement, a job description, it would be selling the fantasy. That's all that these girls are doing. Whatever the fantasy is, it's them to sell. It's for them to sell.
Okay.
Identify the guy's fantasy and sell that to him.
Yeah, makes sense. And this also too would come into, obviously English is the world's second language, and this probably plays a huge part in why, you said Romania does better, because English would be the, primary or at least secondary language that most people are speaking. So yeah, that makes sense. I think also too, it's, it's one, selling the fantasy, but I guess my second part of this question would be, obviously, I think sometimes in these webcam shows, there's a lot of different guys talking. So how do they sell the fantasy to every guy in there, or, specific guys, I guess, to get them to what would be like a private show or whatever, I guess is where they really make their money.
So that's where there are two different types of webcam sites. One is called a freemium site. So that's more like a Chatterbait or something like that, where the girls, they just rely on the tips. The tips are the big thing. So they get the guys to tip saying, hey, I'll do this I'll give you 50,000 tokens to do this. Or they have a menu where it's like, this is what I'll do. Here's my prices. Yay.
Okay.
The other is it's called a private site. Like you said, it's their whole goal is to get the guys to take them to a private show. Similar to a strip club where the girls make their real money in the private shows. So it's the same type of thing. The way, and this is something a lot of guys don't know, but especially if you're on the webcam sites, is that the girls can see who has the most money. The girls can see like who has
the most tokens or whatever.
The most tokens. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep. So they all have that. So what happens is they see those guys, and like some of the sites are set up when that guy talks, it's bolder, so they can actually see it better. So the webcam sites aren't stupid. They're like, let's focus on the people that have the money. These are our clients. Let's get them engaged and everything. So yeah, some of the guys feel left out, but at the same time, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. And all right, next question. It looks like most of the girls work independently. If not, why do they need a manager? Or why would they have a manager?
Yeah. Most of them, I would say it's 50-50 independent and studio models. And it might even be more studio models now, because it takes a certain type of girl to work independently. It takes a certain mentality. Like the girl that I dated, she's the type of girl that can work independently. She can function in that environment because, she has a great work ethic. She would work like 10 hours on stream, and then she would, do 3 or 4 hours of promotion. And I think that some of the girls, they start independent. They're like, oh, I'm going to try this and see what happens. And then they get into like, oh, this is tough. This is not easy. Because you have to know all of this stuff. You as a model, you have to know the platform. You have to know tech stuff. You have to be able to diagnose tech issues. And you're sending an internet stream across the world. So if it's slow, you have to be able to know that. A lot of these girls don't have that. And another thing and this, I'm going to probably break a lot of hearts here, but when you're doing a webcam show and the girl doesn't speak English well, but she's typing, she's just kind of, doing the motions, but she has somebody else there typing for her that understands English. So that's called a monitor, and monitors are huge in the industry. And if you're independent, you probably don't have a monitor. So you're relying on Translate, and Translate, we all know what happens when you try and Google Translate things. You come out sounding weird. Like when the girls here, they say, "Que rico." and they translate that and it says how rich. So they're
Rich,
like,
yeah.
"Ooh, rich."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
the
know that something came out like not too long ago, a few years back, obviously when the pandemic hit and
yeah,
OnlyFans kind of blew up, that a lot of the girls actually had monitors that were, basically responding to a lot of the messages. Obviously, they're not live, but
mhm,
they would have some guy or some management company that they were paying to
yep,
essentially do all their DMs essentially and
for sure
mess.
they still do. When during the pandemic, after I left the webcam business, I did manage a few OnlyFans models, and there's a software they use called Inflow, and basically Inflow is just a back end to OnlyFans. So
Mhm.
it's you can have like 5 different guys running the OnlyFans thing for the people, for the girls, and it's happening in both, because there's the beauty part is only like a third of the equation, so it's a big part of it.
Okay. Uh, Real quick, want to do the super chat real quick.
Ah,
So JB Farrell says, set up a trust fund for the models. Some are professional, buy rentals, invest. Personality wins out. Dark side. Some models move on.
he's right. And I think that would be a huge thing. I think that having, what I fought for with our site is, I fought for having like what the NBA and the NFL do now with rookies. They have like somebody that comes in who's like a veteran player, and
Mhm.
talk to them about the pitfalls of what they're about to get into and what they're about to do. I think that would be enormous for the webcam industry. The problem is that women are so competitive that they'll see what another girl's doing, and they're like, oh, I can do better than that, or don't tell me what to do. So it's kind of a, and I mean, yeah, athletes are kind of the same way, but if you have LeBron James come in and say, hey, you're about to get thrown into, like, you have no idea, people will
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Players will listen. So I
Yeah.
think that still needs to happen, and I agree 100%. And yes, personality, 1,000,000% wins out. It'll always win. Long term, that's the only way that girls can be successful in that
Yeah.
game.
Just a quick side note here. I think it's something that I've talked about on my channel, and maybe you've touched on it as well. I've always said, like, a lot of guys want to come here to Colombia or Medellin, and they want to try to go for the 9s and 10s. And, as I've always said, a lot of those girls tend to be monetized, or because they get everything for how they look, their personalities tend to be lacking somewhat. And generally what you see here, like most of the average man that you will see, they're with what I would consider just an average Colombian woman. She may be pretty, but she's not a 9 or a 10. And, I've said, or, another thing that you could do is get a girl who is, a 6 or a 7, someone who might be considered a project, and you invest into her, help her with her style or whatever it may be. And you
Sure.
get her to, where it is you want her to be as far as looks and all that. And, that's the better route to go than just trying to go straight for the 9s and 10s, because generally the personality is going to be lacking.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I tell every guy that's here, I'm like, you don't want a baddie here. The baddies are the problem. That's where every guy falls here, because you go for the 9 and the 10. And you're right. Even if she's not a webcam model, even if she's not on OnlyFans, she's still monetized. She's still got guys giving her money. So her expectations are going to be through the roof. And I mean, if that's what you want, hey, mazel tov, more power to you. But I'll tell you what, the 6s and 7s here are still 10s back in the US. So, I mean, I don't want to say date smart, but yeah, date smart. Be smart about who you're dating, and look at their family. You have to look at the family too, especially if you're going to long-term date somebody. And if their family is chaotic, you are going to have a chaotic relationship too. And nobody wants that, man. I want peace.
Okay. Let me get to the next question really quick. I wanted to say thanks to JB Farrell for the super
thank
chat.
you.
I forgot to thank him. All right. So let me see. All right. So the next question I have here.
Also, he's right. It is kind of like ghostwriters. He said that in the. It's there. That's exactly what it is. Dirty ghostwriters.
All right. So let me see, where am I at as far as questions? Ask that. Yep, ask that. All right. How much does a webcam manager make? And if someone is considering, or talent scout in your case, or manager, how much can they make? And if someone consider getting into that line of work, what would be your advice for them to be successful?
Well, what I did is really specialized. Each site has one person like me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's, there may be a team, but the person that's in charge of the team, there's generally only one. And I was the only one on my side. I worked with the marketing side. So we all kind of work together. But if you want to do that, it's probably $100,000 a year job, but it's just that. And you're going to travel a lot. My passport, I went through a standard passport in 2 years. So
Wow.
I had to go and get a new one. I filled it up. And that was when they stopped doing the adding pages. So I just had to get a second passport. I had to go and do it. And then it was harder because when I did it, the department that does that for the US, they're like, why do you travel so much all of the sudden in life? It's like, I don't know.
I guess here's another part of that question, I guess. Because I've met some people here that have, thought about trying to do this. How easy is it to kind of just, get an apartment, that has multiple rooms, and rent those rooms out and just set up like some cameras and stuff, and try to get girls to rent the rooms out, or studio out? Is that something that's easily done, or is it a lot more difficult than what someone may think? Like, oh, okay, I can just rent an apartment, throw up some cameras and equipment and lighting, and then just try to get girls in that way.
Looks so easy. Looks super simple. No, it's not, because it's very difficult to do. And I think on the surface it's easy. Just get a bunch of cameras, put them in a room, get good internet and lights, and then go. Decorate it nice. But then there's the other parts of it too. Now, if you do it in an apartment, like where I live or where you live, you're going to have people coming in and out all the time. And there's going to be people are going to talk. The chismosos are going to go. They will. Oh, they will.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, what is going on in that place? And then you might get a girl that's younger, who's maybe 18, 19, but she looks much younger. And especially if you're an American right now, they're going to look and say, I think there's some trafficking going on there. And they call the police. So they'll drop a dime and you got to deal with the police. And I hate to say this, but sometimes you'll get crooked police. You'll get corrupt police who are going to come out with this. We're not going to say anything. They're going to, hey, this is really bad. This is really bad. But, put something there. And we'll keep quiet. You have to deal with that. And I think the hardest part, and probably 80% of my stress when I did that job, is the work ethic of the girls is terrible. It's horrific. And unless another thing, and this is a bad thing too, and I learned this from the OnlyFans stuff, is unless you're taking a portion of their earnings, they're just not going to pay you. They're going to say, whatever. So to be like, oh, you can rent this room that I have, but this room, you got to pay me, $100 a month for your time. They'll be like, oh, I'll pay you next month. Or, then it's, oh, I want to pay you, but I have this coming, and we have to deal with that on another level.
Yeah.
The kid, the empty refrigerator, all the stuff that we have to deal with personally. Now we have to deal with it professionally. And then the other part is they don't like to work. They're not industrious. Pretty young girls in general are not industrious. They're not hard workers. They don't have to be. Why would they be?
Yeah.
So it's just in Colombia that you get that portion, plus you get the culture that doesn't value hard work. I'll say it that way. Be nice about it. Okay. But then you deal with both ends of that, and it's tough. It's very difficult.
Okay. And then next question here: are lines often crossed with either managers or talent scouts and the models sexually or dating? Like, Does it cross over into dating him?
Yeah, two-part on that. With studios and studio owners, a lot. It happens way more than it should. And it complicates things. It makes everything complicated. Now, for my job, and I think with everybody, I still kind of keep in touch with the people who do my job now. But all of us, we talked, and we had a group chat that we're all on that, it was good for all of us because at the end, we're not adversaries. We're trying to help each other to keep the industry moving forward. And we'd help with hey, this girl's trying this, be careful. And that way, if they go to them, they're already ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. So with all of us, we do things differently. It's on our job. I never in my 10 years of doing that job had sex with one of the girls that was on our site. I never once did. And it's because that line is incredibly important. Because there's two parts of it. One is you're not taken seriously if you're just out, hooking up with the girls.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that he's not serious. And the studios hear that too. So they don't want to work with you. The other part is that I don't want to deal with it because now the girls think, oh, I can manipulate this guy. Oh, if I just throw something at him, I'm going to get what I want. And I never wanted that. I never wanted that reputation or anything. So, and my portion of it, I don't think any of us are out hooking up with the girls. I did marry a girl from another site. So, I mean, there is that. But ones that I worked with directly, I never went.
Okay. All right. So next question here is, I think it's a pretty big one. Why and how did the webcam industry grow so fast in Colombia?
What's really funny is it's been here since 2008, 2009. It's been here. I think it was the reason it feels like it blew up so quickly is because society shifted. It's been here the whole time. It's been a huge thing, but you've been here a while too. So there's something that happens here. It's called doble moral, where I talked about it in one of my last videos, where on the surface, you don't talk about things like sex. It's just, you don't do it. It's like, oh, that's, but behind, it's like my example that I always say is, guys would be, oh, what a shame. She's a webcam model. What's her name? They want this stuff too, but they just don't do it because it's society says it's evil, it's bad. But I think that's going away and that's dropping. Now it's just people are, my girlfriend's a webcam model. My daughter's a webcam model. She does OnlyFans. But I think as society shifted, it's more of a thing. But I think that it circles back to what I said before. There's not a lot of opportunity here in Colombia. There's not, if you've tried to get a job here and tried to work here, it's not easy. It's tough. So if it's tough for us who have, we can open an international market for some companies. Imagine what it's like for people who don't have that. It's tough. So you need that financial portion, and you need the pretty girls. And this is bad to say, and I hate saying it, but you need to manipulate. You need to be able to manipulate guys, because that's what the job essentially is. You're selling a fantasy. What's selling a fantasy? That's manipulating a guy to give you money to do what you want. So,
and
girls have that.
And I'm not sure how true this is. It was something I heard that it kind of blew up or grew fast here in Medellin. It started kind of here in Medellin and then expanded out, but it started in Medellin first because there was there was high-speed, stable internet first here. Like I said, I don't know how true that is, but that was something I kind of heard.
So I think Bogota's always had the best internet, but it's because it's a capital and it's a
more
little
business.
different.
Yeah,
it's more business oriented. There's always that stigma as part of it. But actually, the webcam industry here, it started here, but I think more than anything, I think it was started in Cali. Cali was the first time that, motorcycle going by.
Okay.
So Cali was where it first started, and Cali had the first mega studio.
Okay.
And and Medellin found it, and they're like, oh, we can do it too. When I moved here 10 years ago, the internet was garbage, hot garbage. And now it's really good. It's fantastic here now. So like in our neighborhood, you can get like 200 megabits up and down for like $30 a month.
Yeah.
So when I came here, you were doing good to get 3.5 megabits up and down for 100,000 a month. It's like,
wow.
What? But yeah, Medellin's grown also because, and sounds bad, but it's part of Paisa culture. Paisa girls are beautiful. They're all about appearance. Everything with Paisa girls is about their appearance. So there's that portion, and they tend to know how to manipulate. So
yeah, I had I think a lot of that too. It comes from the conditioning and kind of grooming of narco culture that was a huge thing here back in the day. I had a friend who she's in her 40s, but her parents are very well educated, still together. I think mom was a psychologist and like dad was a lawyer. And she told me, one of the days that her friends that were females, their parents would tell the girls, like when they were teenagers, was like, oh, you have to look good. You have to look good so you can get a narco guy. And I think it's also too, it's just been a thing throughout history since women are the weaker sex physically. They can't dominate, anybody. So they have to, essentially dominate in a way that they can, which is through manipulation,
And that's why online discourse is so driven by women, because it's easy to, that's like, if you look on Instagram or you look on Twitter or anything, it's the discourse is driven by women because it's easy to manipulate people online. It's easy to do that. In person, it's hard to manipulate somebody. It's hard. It's really difficult to do. And women, they go towards, they want strength. They want somebody that's going to be able to protect them. And I see it with my daughter. I see it with the way that her grandma, my ex's mom, deals with her, because she's a cute girl. She's got a mix of my genetics and her mom's, and she looks unique. And she's like, oh my God, you're going to marry such a strong man. And I'm like, don't tell her that. Let her do what she wants. Jesus.
And your daughter is American or Colombian?
No, she's half. She has both passports. She does. She's both.
But was she born in America or born here in Colombia?
Born here. Born right across the street over there.
At the hospital. Okay. All right. So next question I have here is, do you notice common personality traits from the women who do this line of work?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I do notice from the women is, from the models that come into it, is they're strong. They're very strong-willed people. And I think you have to be to do the job. And the ones that stay are generally the ones that are maybe on the more strong-willed side. So there's somebody that's not going to get pushed around. So that is something that a lot of them do. They're not timid. They're not meek. They're loud. They're very loud, and it's a good thing. It's a defense mechanism for them. But it's something that you need in that industry. It's tough.
Of course. All right. So next question here. Do the models ever experience burnouts?
Every single person does. Everybody in the industry gets it from the top, from where I was, all the way down to the people cleaning up. Everybody gets burned out. I mean, we're human beings. Nobody's. I know it's the fantasy of, like, with my job, I got it from my friends all the time. Like, dude, you have the dream job. I'm like, no, a nightmare is technically a dream. So keep that in mind. But yeah.
Right.
I'm not out digging ditches or breaking rocks, but
yeah,
for me, my problem was, I am the emotional punching bag, the emotional tampon professionally for, 1,000 princesses. Mm-hmm. And for them, some of the things that they hear and the requests that they get they're tough. They're really tough. There's a lot of, I want to call you my daughter's name, things like that. Things that, that's a whole nother part of it. And I saw some shit. I'll just say that I've seen some shit in that job that I wish I never did.
Yeah,
went to
it's
because of it.
I asked that question because I know these girls sometimes they stream for like hours and
Oh
hours
yeah,
on end, and
yeah.
it's like that has to be tiring.
It's physically tough because, well, I mean, what they're doing is a physical act,
Mhm.
for the most part. The other part's just they're sitting in front of big bright lights and a big computer monitor for 8-10 hours a day. And at some
Mhm.
point, I mean, even if you're doing something that you absolutely love, you're still gonna be like, oh my God, I want to do anything but this right now. And they
Mhm.
get it too. And then when you add in the shame factor that they probably feel for what they're doing, it gets even deeper than that.
Okay. All right. So next question here. Actually, real quick, let me give a shout out to T Mac. Thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate
Oh, man.
you. He says content support. Steve is always a great interview.
Thank you,
All
man.
right.
You, man.
So
Wait,
next
I'm
question that
excited
I
to be
have.
coming back, though.
Next question I have here is, do most women enter the industry voluntarily from economic hardship, or are they forced into it?
I know that people want to say that there's this big trafficking portion, and there are people that happens to. In Romania, it happens a lot, and with some red pill people who are accused of that, they absolutely did that. I've seen it with my own eyes. But here, it's so much more difficult. It's so much more difficult to do that. Most of the time, 95% of the time, it's girls doing it out of economic necessity. It's just this is what they do. This is what they can do to make money, and they don't. It doesn't need them. They don't need to have a professional degree to do it. They
Yeah,
just need
I
to be
was.
pretty and do their thing, and they can make as much as a doctor. In 2 weeks, they can make as much as a doctor if they want to, or a lawyer, or anything else. Somebody that went to school for 6-7 years, they can do it. Why not?
Okay. All right. Next question here. How does working in the webcam industry affect the mental health of the women? I ask because, like I said, some women have to stream for many hours, or
Yeah,
they have to do something involving sex or a sex act every
yeah,
day for many hours.
for sure. What it does is with my ex, I'll never badmouth her. She's a good person. She has a good heart and all that. But there were times where she would work and she would just sex was the last thing on her mind. It's like I do not want to do that. And then there were some times that we would be in the middle of being intimate and she'd just be like, "Stop! I can't do this right now." And there's a lot of unfortunately there's a lot of S trauma that happens to the girls here.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, I've read a study that like 65% of girls were traumatized in that way here. So, uh, even if they've gone to therapy and they've done all of this to get rid of it, or even if they just bottle it up and pack it away, it comes out. And unfortunately, it comes out in that job. It brings it out big time
Mhm.
because it's a lot of times and I kind of insinuated to it before, but there's a lot of times that the guys want these taboo things, and
Mhm.
some of those taboo things trigger these girls. And when they do, it really hits them hard. And they're just like, I can't do this. I'm done for the day. I'm done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's also too a big thing here. I mean, it's Latin American culture in general, but a lot of these girls are usually, either molested or SA'd by, uncles or,
Yep,
something
absolutely.
like that,
Family
someone in
member.
the family, and
Yep.
all that kind of goes in. It's a common thing in Latin
Unfortunately.
American culture. Yeah, unfortunately. All right.
But yeah,
So,
one of the things that it does do mentally is for everybody in the industry, not just the girls, it really it ruins sex to a point. It doesn't be it's not really like an intimate thing anymore. It's not like this pleasurous thing that it is for everybody else. For them, they see it as work.
mhm,
And I mean, that's kind of why it's hard to connect with a webcam model on a deep level like that. Because you're probably never going to connect with them sexually. It's probably never going to happen. And not never, but not up front. you're not gonna, even if you think you may have just had the best night ever. But there was a girl who was on 90 Day Fiance. She was a webcam model and from Pereira, and the first time that she hooked up with her US guy, he was like, "Oh my God, it was the greatest night ever. We had the best night." And then when the guys asked her, she said, "Yeah, it was okay." So that's kind of an insight to what you'll get if you want to be with a webcam model.
Yeah. So just to add to that as well, from what I've seen, heard, and just my general experience with being here in Colombia and talking to different people. So one, two, a lot of girls who are involved in sex work, whether it be hardcore, let's just say P-tuition, I'm trying to keep this somewhat YouTube friendly.
I was trying to as well. Yeah.
I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Or whether it's webcam,
selling kittens,
selling box. A lot of these girls, they believe their work is completely separate. So even if they are dating someone, they don't see what they're doing as it being, something different than maybe, you going into an office and, doing an office job or something. Like it's completely separate. They don't think of it as something the ones who do it should be something they should be shamed for. If you're trying to get into a relationship with these type of women, also on the mental health part of it, this is just something that I know from psychology, is that when women are involved in any kind of sexual acts, they tend to release a bonding chemical.
Yep.
When that bonding chemical is constantly being released, like this is where I say where it goes into kind of messing up their head and essentially how they bond and and connect with the guy. So that chemical almost gets cooked to where they can't bond anymore in that way. So.
And it's not saying that they won't ever be able to, but it's so much harder for them to pair bond than it is for a regular person, because that goes in. That's one of the biggest arguments for the high body count thing that you do lose, and we as guys lose it too. We as guys, it's harder for us, especially if you consume that content and you just consume it. You kind of it's for us, it's more mental. It's your brain wears into this like mental pattern that, oh well, these girls are interchangeable. They're this, they're that. I can just go on and get a video and talk to them, and new one comes tomorrow. So for us, it's more of a mental thing, but for them, it's a physical thing where it's almost physically impossible for them to pair bond with someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also say the same thing too about guys. I think us as men, after you've been with a certain amount of women, it is extremely hard for you to just be in a normal monogamous relationship without wanting to have something new. I mean, every guy can attest to this. There's nothing like new box, so is that euphoria you feel when you get something for the first time? Nothing will ever replace that. And it's something that we all continuously chase, so, it's different versus a guy who maybe got with his high school sweetheart and married her. He doesn't have a bunch of things to compare to. And I think it was Chris Rock that said this, that men can't go backwards sexually and women can't go backwards in lifestyle. So, it just is what it is.
I was the guy that married my high school sweetheart, and we stayed together for 10 years. And, no problem. It was great until, things break up, and, we had issues. And then when I got out in the dating world, I was like, why the fuck did I stay with one person? So, I mean, yeah, it's tough. We can't go backwards. I'm pretty sure I could probably go back to having one. I have one woman that I've been in love with my whole life. That's that kind of a thing. So I could go back to that, but generally speaking, we can't go backwards and be happy. We'll always have that thought in our heads of what's out there, what's new, FOMO.
All right. So next question here. How is, obviously you're not in the line of work anymore, but from your contacts, how was recruiting done? And then now maybe how has it changed with the rise of platforms like OnlyFans?
I think in general, the webcam industry has really taken a hit from OnlyFans. I think that it's something that nobody saw OnlyFans coming. Nobody did. The pandemic, if there was one winner from the pandemic, it was OnlyFans.
Mhm.
That was the only thing that truly won was OnlyFans. The originator, the guy who created OnlyFans, he came into our company, into our corporate office, and tried to sell us on OnlyFans to partner up with him. And everybody in the room looked around like, yeah, nobody's just going to pay to watch videos, and nobody's going to pay for that. Why would they do it when it's online free?
Mhm.
So nobody saw this coming. And I think that in general, the webcam industry, it's always been a little bit hard, but I think right now it's even harder to get girls in, because I think you can get new girls to come in, but you're going to have a high churn rate. Your turnover is going to be insane because, like I said, these girls come in and they're like, oh shit, this is a lot of work. This is consistency. This is, constantly working. And they do it for a little while, then they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. But someone like OnlyFans, all you have to do is really take pictures and post it and promote it.
Mhm.
It's not something that requires you to be at a job in front of a computer for 10 hours a day. It's something you could do easily.
Yeah, I think also too with OnlyFans, it kind of creates sort of a passive and residual income, because a lot of girls are creating content, they're putting it there, and then after that, it's just marketing. And girls are already on social media anyways, so it doesn't take anything to, take a quick video with some meme format, in a bikini, and a bunch of thirsty guys, on Instagram are going to like it and push it because it's a half naked girl. And the more interactions that post gets, the more the algorithm is going to push it out. So it's just easy. It's easy marketing for them, especially if they're beautiful, because it doesn't require much effort to, make a thirst trap type video or reel. And
personality. They don't have to have a personality, really. They just get, all they have to do is put link in bio, and guys are going to go back and look. And it's cool.
It's the same thing with a lot of the Colombia so-called, I like to say, propaganda you see, where it's the girls online like, oh, come to Colombia. Here we don't say papi, we say papacito. But like if you dig a little deeper and you look into their profile and whatever it is, it leads back to OnlyFans or something of that sense. So
I'm shocked when I look at those and they don't have an OnlyFans. I'm shocked when they don't.
But, it's like, they may not have an OnlyFans, but their business is being conducted through the DMs, because, they're getting a lot of messages and propositions. And usually if it's not done through a link, okay, well, I'll sell you some content, personalized content, or
9s and 10s here are all monetized in some way. Mm-hmm. So that's the other way they do it.
All right. So next question I have here from an insider's perspective, what is the biggest misconception people have about these studios? These studios actually, or how do they actually make their money, and how much money do the girls make?
So generally speaking, they make money based on a percentage of what comes in. So it behooves the studio and the girl to get more money, to increase their sales. And generally it's, most of the time here, it's usually 50-50, where the girl gets 50% of the money and the studio gets 50% of the money. So that's generally the way they do it. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a little less, depends on the studio and what amenities they have. I did notice that somebody in the comments said that, like, the studio, they said the sites have, JB Farrell's right, that the studios have psychologists on site now. So these are some of the things that they provide to the girls, and they provide a place for them to work, and it's hard to work from home unless you got that hustle and grind mentality. It's tough to work from home. I mean, you and I both do it. So, you can't, not everybody has that. Not everybody knows how to do that. So having a studio is a big thing for them, and they'll give up half their money for it sometimes. But the studios make money based on how much their girls sell, but they have a lot of overhead. So they they do make good money. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is, oh my God, these studios must be printing money. And yeah, they do make a lot of money, but they do have a lot of overhead. A lot of times out to pay for the building. They have their staff, and it's not just, put some guy in front of a computer and he's going to do everything. You need monitors. One monitor can probably handle 3 models. So you need to have a bunch of people there to do it. You need to have a cleaning person. You need, the girls aren't going to come in. The girls aren't going to keep coming in if you come into a dirty place. You got to decorate. You got to do all this stuff. They have all this overhead. So while they're making a lot of money, they're also spending a lot of money to get to that point. Like the biggest studios here they're making a lot of money, but they have to spend a lot to attract people. And that's part of the recruiting process is, you have to show that opulence. You have to show excess. You have to show like, hey, we're making so much money that we have a gold-plated toilet. One of the studios has a painted gold toilet in the girls' bathroom. So
that's crazy.
It's part of it. But I think the other part that's a misconception is that, it's just this big orgy all the time. And it's one of the things that's made dating harder for me is that outsiders just think that, everybody just must be like in this giant sex orgy constantly. And it's professional. It's super professional in these places, the big studios. They treat it like a business, and I always treated it like a business. So it's tough, and especially at the conferences because everybody sees the videos of the beautiful girls walking around and everybody's checking them out. And when you're at those, and when you're there to do business, you lock in. You got to lock in and do it. And I think those are the 2 biggest misconceptions in the industry.
Okay. Here's kind of a bonus question that wasn't on the list, but I was going to ask, why do you think so many men are, interested or still to this day will engage in webcam versus just watching, porn for free or, something like OnlyFans where, whatever, they still subscribing to this, even though there's so much content out there online for free. Now, in my opinion, I think obviously the webcam thing is the guys crave the interaction, but go ahead. You can give your thoughts.
You nailed it. I can go and watch a video on PH, and it's you get what you need, and that's it. You get your clarity, your post clarity, and you're done. Okay, it's done. But I think that especially for us as guys, I think it does kind of create, when you have that, it's bad. You start to crave a little bit more. I need more than just, watching a girl on screen and that's it. So I think a lot of guys they're starting to, not starting to, they've been doing it for forever, is they have a need for connection. And I think we all have a need for connection. And it's kind of one of the bad things of the industry is that it kind of doesn't feed that, except for webcam. Webcam's the one that feeds that connection that portion. And I think that's why it's still around, because there's a lot of lonely guys out there. It's no secret. There's a lot of guys, they don't have somebody that they can connect with. And it's tough. It's really tough because you do kind of find that connectivity or that feel in porn, and it's bad. It's not a good thing. So that's why I think webcam is still around, and I think it always will be, because we as guys we're optimists. All of us are romantics in some way, in some form. And there's always that, well, maybe I'll find somebody I can connect with, and that's the start of our love story. It never is.
So here's another kind of off the wall question as well. If a guy came here to Colombia and happened to meet a girl who is currently a webcam model or was a webcam model, obviously with, them being essentially trained in manipulation and know how to exploit that men are looking for that connection, is it possible for someone to actually have a normal relationship, or like a, you know, a relationship with them, even though even if they're willing to look past that? Because for a lot of guys that may be a deal breaker. Usually if a girl is a, you know, has done any type of S work, they're usually like, all right, you know, I'm done. I'm completely done with that. But I've met quite a few guys here in Medellin that are in relationships with girls that were former box sellers, not necessarily webcam models, but box sellers. They knew they were box sellers. They met them while they were box sellers. And, you know, they essentially decided to put on their cape and save a, you know, you guys know the words to the song.
Yeah. E40 said it best. E40, not the other part.
So, you know, is it something that's even possible?
Well, there's to quote E40's song, all the girls are out there saying, I want to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you, if you want to do that, you better be like top 1% in game, because they are going to run all over you. It's going to be, these girls have, I never want to say it's impossible, but you know what? I could win the lottery tomorrow too. I think it's about the same odds, unfortunately. The other problem, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, but I mean, it's not far off. The problem is that everybody has that fantasy that, you know, everybody's like, well, everybody that thinks like that, they're like, I'm going to come here, I'm going to meet this girl, and we're going to live happily ever after. That in between, I'm going to meet this girl and live happily ever after. That's like the Grand Canyon of space between there. You have so much that's going to happen here. And no, the guys that come here with that thought in their heads, they are just asking to be taken advantage of, and they're going to be putting on their cape, and that's never ends well for any guy.
Yeah. All right. So next question here. What did you observe about the types of connections viewers were looking for? Was it primarily about the content, or was it more there like a need for a deeper connection or companionship?
Sure. So I would say that the beauty is what brings them in the door. Obviously, there's a little thumbnail and they see what the girl looks like, and that's what brings them in the door. But what makes them stay is the connection. So if one of the big things that I tried to explain to girls all the time, they're like, something's wrong with the site. Guys come into my room, they stay for 30 seconds, and then they leave. And then I go to look at her broadcast, and she's just like this the whole time. Like, I would leave too. You're not interacting. They see you. They see how beautiful you are. And then part of my job was dealing with, am I ugly today? What's going on? So,
my
God,
I can only imagine that, man.
No, you don't want that. But I would say it's probably 30% the beauty that's what brings them in the door. But what keeps them there is the interaction and how well the girl sells the fantasy. And another thing that girls here in Medellin do, and I'm sure you've seen it, when they're asking you questions, they are feeling you out. What they're doing is they want to get to know you, but they also, the manipulative ones, they're looking for a hook. They're looking for a way to get you. And they're looking, like, if you say, you know, I'm looking for a real relationship, there's my hook.
Yep.
So they're like, okay, well, I thought we were building something. You know, if I'm in need, I need to be able to trust you that you can help me. So if you could send me 200,000, that would be great. You can show me then. And they're just using their skills to get what they need. So
yeah,
it just depends on how well they do it.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is it's you know, everybody's going to ask you, and it seems like such an innocent question, but how long have you been here? You know, if you're like, oh, I've only been here a month, or it's a difference between, oh, I've lived here a month, or I've been here a month, versus, oh, I've been here for 3 years. And there's those feelers that he's talking about, where it's going to be like, oh, well, he's been here 3 years. I probably am not going to be able to run too much game on him, because he's seen everything within those 3 years, or for some people, 10 years, 17 years, whatever it may be. When
they get to me, when I purposely put on when I use dating apps that I've been here 10 years. Because basically I'm telling them, don't try that BS with me. Don't try that nonsense that you're not going to catch me slipping. Okay. That's just not going to happen. But yeah, I got a lot less. If I didn't put that up, I got a lot of traction, but I got a lot less when I'm like, yeah, I've been here 10 years. Don't try that shit. Don't try that.
And
yeah, you're right. 100% right.
So I didn't really hear if you answered this part of the question. Was there the content as far as the type of connections they were looking for? Was it more primarily about just content, like do this, do that, I want to see this, or was it more about like companionship or like something like that? Because sometimes some girls who are box sellers, they'll be like, oh, a lot of times guys just they want the girlfriend experience. They're not actually looking for more of just the actual act.
Yeah, I would say that it's probably 50-50. There's always the guys that come in, they're just wanting to get theirs and go on about their day, and they get right to the point. They're like, here's a $5 tip, here's 50 tokens, show me your boobs. I need to see your boobs. Do I don't know how the face where the girls they stick out their tongue and put their eyes. I don't know what's
like anime face or whatever it is.
Do that, and then they'll take care of themselves, and then they're done. And they're like, okay, thank you, done. But there's a lot of those guys, but then there are a good half of the guys that are like, no, you know what? I want the whole experience. I want you to make me feel good.
Gotcha. Okay. And what surprised you most about the top spenders or regular viewers in terms of their expectations or behavior?
You know what I found is, I can't say who they were, but we had senators that were our top spenders. We had the heir of one of the biggest like old money companies in the world was one of our users, one of our members. And just the amount of like powerful men that were on the site, on these sites, is outstanding. It's like insane. So I think that what surprised me the most is, that's one of the surprises, but I think the biggest surprise is the people that tend to be probably the most judgmental, like I'm not saying this about all of them, but like Christians from the South or Christians from anywhere. And I'll say that after, is they are the biggest consumers of the content. But that goes back to our US version of doble moral. These are the guys that they're pounding their fists and pounding the table about, we can't have this in our country and blah, blah, blah. Wait, what did you say that site was again?
Yeah.
So there's kind of that. And I'll give you this. What do you think the biggest concentration of our member base was for the webcam site? Within the US, where do you think, what metro area do you think that was?
I'm going to say the South.
Washington, DC.
Oh, wow.
It blows people's minds when, like I said, we had senators, we had congressmen, we had another high-ranking government official on our site. And I think that's the biggest thing, is guys are guys. We're men. We have our desires. So the more you fight it, the harder it fights to come out. Very
true. Yeah, it's usually always the ones that are super against something that tend to be, it's like the guys who are gay bashing or whatever, and it's like, oh, they turn out to be gay or something, or closeted. Yeah,
they're the ones, they're trying to hide it so much, and they're so ashamed of it. There's so much shame built in that they're trying to hide it.
Next question here. What are the most critical safety or privacy measures that were implemented to protect the women working in the studios, or if there is any at all?
So the biggest thing that we as the sites do, or they as the sites do, I'm not part of it anymore, but is we prohibit the passing of personal information, like personal cell phones. We do coach the girls on, do not tell people where you are. You can say I'm in Medellin. Okay, great. Perfect. But don't say I'm in Poblado, or don't say I live in Robledo, or don't say any of that stuff. Because, I hate to say it, but there are crazy ass people out there A lot of, especially when you as a woman are presenting sexually and you're selling a fantasy, some of these guys, their mind starts to warp and they're like, oh, let me find out more about this girl. So we tell them, do not, under any circumstances, pass any of that information. And we don't let them put phone numbers in the chat. We don't let them do any of that stuff. And if they do it, they're booted off the site. They're kicked out. We don't play that. We don't play that nonsense.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a pretty intense thing. And the other part, which kind of combating the one thing that everybody says, it's this big. There's this big trafficking portion of it. You have no idea the amount of work that goes into these sites for making sure the person that we have the ID for is the person who's on the site. Most use this site called SumSub, which is it's a very intense ID scrutinizing site, and it makes you, because we have a law in the US called US 2257, and if you watch adult content, you've seen that come up, and it's because you have to have a person of record. This is the person that certifies everything that's on the site is correct, and we know who's there with their ID. We have all of this. I was that person for when I worked at CAMS. So if something went wrong, it's on me. Mm-hmm. I allowed somebody on the site. It's not perfect. There are fake IDs. People use their sister's IDs and all of that. And old Venezuelan IDs were just absolute dog water. So there are ways around it. But they do everything possible. And that goes with OnlyFans too. They do everything possible to stay compliant within that law.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely, I would imagine there has to be some, crazy kind of security measures, because obviously, as you said, when you're promoting sex and some men don't get this easily, men get this fantasy in their head, or, and there's just tons of stories online about guys stalking or whatever it may be, when it comes to a beautiful woman or a woman in general. So, yeah.
I've had to deal with that in person with the stalker of one of the girls on our site. And I was also the person who reported stuff to the FBI when things would go wrong. So I got to see a lot of bad stuff, but I also got to see that side of guys who, if you talk to them one-on-one, they're probably, they're normal guys, but then they got this, their brain just latched onto this girl, and they lost all sense of reality. I've seen that as well. It makes me, the one thing that it did for me is, like with the R stuff, with all of that, when women are like, you don't understand, you don't know what guys are like until you've seen them in this light. And I gotta say, it's true. There is some smoke, there's some fire to that smoke for sure.
No, yeah, definitely. And then also too, when you when you think about there's other nationalities and then how they are when it comes to sex and stuff like that. Like I remember seeing not too long ago, there was like a British woman who was in India, and she stopped and she was like on a bike, and some guy like kind of was following her. Then he came up to the bike and was like asking her questions, and then just whipped his shit out, like, randomly, So you also get that.
We have today, huh?
Yeah, basically. All right. So for those women who choose to leave the industry, what are the most common reasons, and what did that transition look like? And this is kind of like a 3-part question. So for those that choose to leave the industry, what are the most common reasons? I'll start with that one.
I'd say that the biggest one is burnout. Burnout's probably the biggest cause of women leaving the industry. It is. It really does take a toll on the mentality, and that's why the studios, a lot of them have psychologists now. They have a psychiatrist there who, not a psychologist, psychiatrist,
like a therapist or something.
Therapist, yeah. They don't prescribe drugs to them, but they are there to help with that stuff. And I think the other part of it is studios used to have girls working 12-hour shifts. Now they got them down to 8-hour shifts, and that's it. So they're realizing, if we want to keep these girls on long term, we have to take care of their mental health. So that's the biggest reason. I think another reason that girls leave is it's just normal attrition. But the other one is that they find a sucker who's going to take them out the game, and they come back. Those ones almost always come back. Or the girls that make a lot of money, they'll work hard for 6 months, make 10K, 20K, and they're done. They're like, okay, now I can go and do something else.
So a little personal story here. I happened to, at the time when I was using Bumble, this is like maybe when I first got to Medellin, I met a girl who did webcam, but she worked, I guess, independently, or maybe she had her own account, but it was through one of these sites. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful girl, tall, maybe about 5'10", 5'11", somewhere around there. Not at this time, obviously, I'm still new to Medellin, just lived here, see the beauty, but still decided to go out with her. So we went out to lunch, and then over that weekend, I didn't really hear from her. So I reached out again, just being like, hey, I haven't heard from you, want to see what's up, whatever. And I mean, she, of course, had the decency to say, hey, I tend to like my men a little bit taller. So she wasn't that interested. Cool. Yeah. Appreciate it. She could have strung me along, for a bunch of dates, whatever. But
that's a great thing.
Which is extremely surprising. But, to kind of wrap into the story, essentially, when we were at lunch or dinner, lunch going into dinner, she was telling me the story of her ex, and that she met her ex through the webcam site. I don't know how they passed the information along, but she started dating a guy who she met through webcamming. And
I don't have a flag, but I have a red dog bag. That's a red flag.
Red flag. So she met this guy, and essentially, it turned out that this guy was in a bunch of debt through spending all his money to talk to her and stuff through the site. And essentially, when she found it out, she decided not to date him. And this could be just because he didn't have the money she thought that he had, or maybe it's because he was, like in debt and didn't have as much and just didn't really have his life together. But, you have guys like that just going into, kind of what we were talking about.
For sure. I did see there was one guy, not here in Colombia, but there was one guy who had his girlfriend in the Philippines, and he ended up selling his family home to talk to her and to go to the Philippines to meet up with her. It's like, and then when she didn't want to be with him, he tried charging back all of the money, and it was going through us. So it was like, oh my God, this guy just did a $50,000 chargeback, and we had to fight him. And I had to talk to the guy, and I'm like, what can we do to fix this? And he was a normal dude. He was just like a normal guy. But I'm like, bro, we can't, because you got your heart broken, you can't charge back and ding us for it. We didn't break your heart. She did.
Yeah. We're just the middleman.
We're just the middleman.
The second part of that question. So the whole question was for those who choose to leave the industry, what are the most common reasons? We answered that part. The second part of the question was, what does that transition look like, and what line of work do they end up in usually?
I think generally speaking, the girls learn about marketing through the site. So a lot of girls do go into like digital marketing for a while. And I think that they kind of transition back to a civilian job. They do something that's, they have a little bit more financial leeway. A lot of the girls, they start their own like makeup stores or something like that. They tend to be more in the beauty industry because, they put a lot of work into their looks. They put a lot of work into their appearance. So they use that as their brand. So a lot of the girls have started clothing lines. They've started lingerie lines, cosmetics. So they do this, and they sell to other girls that are near them, and that's it's kind of a thing that they do. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Or this isn't enough for them. They want to up their game and sell box, so that's what they end up doing. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely one of my biggest fears of living here in not just Medellin, but Colombia in general. There are so many women involved in the sex industry. And obviously, you don't, not that you're coming to another country to specifically look for women, but obviously you're going to want to try to find a mate and, you know,
Yeah.
have a life. But I would say one of my biggest fears is getting someone who was an ex-pro or SX worker and wifing them up and, you know, not knowing about their past. Cause a lot of girls will try to hide that. And, or if you end up with one of these 50-50 girls that kind of do it, or they do it, but if they figure that, oh, I can get this sucker to basically save me, then I'll get out. But you know, they essentially have one foot in and one foot out.
For sure. They always will. They always will as well. So if you're thinking you're gonna wife up one of the girls, you know, and she had her ex was the sucker, guess what? You're the sucker now. That's you now. You are that guy. And you know, you are definitely, this is the problem. They can't unprogram that wiring. So when they're manipulating these guys for so long and they're so good at it, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. It just takes new forms. And the new form is going to be targeted at you if you're dating her, if you're marrying her. So yeah, it's a big thing. And the girls aren't going to be upfront very much about it here. They're not gonna tell you, oh yeah, I used to be a webcam model, then I started doing OnlyFans, then I would start taking dates. They're not going to tell you all this stuff. So you got to be on guard. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. And the one thing that can destroy you as a man the fastest is who you choose to date, is who you choose to partner up with. No woman in the world can make a millionaire into a billionaire, but every woman in the world can make a billionaire into a millionaire.
Yep. 100% agree with that. Also would say too, is that all women, whether they're in this type of industry, are going to test you. They're going to try to manipulate you. It's just doubled with these type of, with these type of women.
So much better at it. They're professionals. You're dealing with professionals now.
Yep. All right. So next question I have here, we only got a few more, so we'll wrap this up. How did working in that environment change your personal view on digital intimacy and the modern relationships?
Oof. It did, because I got to see kind of the worst of all of it. It definitely made it harder for me to be in a relationship with somebody, because I would see something that's small and like nothing big. Like I wouldn't put up with a girl who's like disrespectful or anything like that. But I would see something small and I would see the manipulation portion of it. And I'm like, I would shut that door immediately. Like, oh, nope, that's it. We're done. And it made me more rigid in relationships. And I'm not a rigid person. I'm not somebody that's like, you be here when I tell you to, and I need you to have your location on. That's not me. But it made me kind of be that way because I saw what going on, and I saw it at a level that people didn't see. So it kind of devalued sex for me a lot, and that's one of those things that it happened that it really, man, it hurt. It hurt me in a lot of ways. I went to therapy about 3 years into my career because I'm like, this shit's tough. It's tough to deal with all this stuff. And yeah, it changed the way I saw women too. I saw all the manipulations that women do, and it was like a blinking neon sign to me at that point. So it definitely made it tougher to find somebody to bond with. And also the dating portion of it was tough for me as well, because you have no idea how hard it is to have a relationship with a woman that's not in the industry, because they're looking at it as, oh, well, you're going to go, I'd go to a studio visit. I'd go and be there 4 or 5 hours. And while I'm there scrutinizing their operations and trying to help them be better, the girl that I'm dating sees that, oh, well, you're just there, getting your DS by these girls. And it's like, no, when do I have time to do that? I have no time for that. So
here's a quick side question. what would you say are some uncommon manipulation tactics that you would see where most guys just aren't going to catch it?
Oh, I have this one for you. And this is for all guys that are dating, especially if you're dating a Colombian girl. I call it the soft bag. And that's where when you say, "Hey, how's everything going?" and they start telling you all their sob stories. Now, the way I saw this before is it's like, "Oh man, that's tough. That's hard. You know, you'll get through this. You got this." No, that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're setting you up to say, "Oh, you're having some financial troubles. Well, let me give you some money." That's what they want. And when you don't, then they're going to start to open that door slowly, and then eventually they're just going to slam it open and, "Hey, you're doing okay. You're doing better than I am. Can you give me 200,000 can you loan me 200,000 to get through this and I'll pay you back?" And I saw that, and that soft bag it's foundational here. It's a foundational thing, the way that girls do things here.
Yeah, I want to add to that. I'm going to piggyback off that for a little bit. So when I first got here to Medellin, Colombia, obviously it's something that is a huge cultural difference from what we're accustomed to in the United States, being because women are so independent. I mean, obviously now there's a little bit of more of girls asking for money to get their hair, their nails done and stuff like that for dates. But for the longest time, it wasn't really a thing that women would just openly.
Super taboo.
It would be almost embarrassing. But here it almost is like, wow, they have no shame. But what my first experience was, oh, you know, I'm stressed. Because obviously every conversation has to start with "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" And, you know,
within 3 questions, you're hearing their stresses in life.
Yeah, you know, so I'm stressed, and it's like you almost. And of course, when you're innocent, your first experience with this is you're going to ask why. Yeah. And that's where you mess up because, oh, you know, blah, 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 whatever million excuses. And Colombian women are the queen of excuses. I've heard so many excuses. I never thought I would, you know, I'm like, how do you guys come up with these things? Like, you guys are super innovative when it comes to, you are so innovative. If you would put half of that effort into coming up with this stuff and put it towards like something productive, man, y'all would be way more further in life than what you are. But no, they constantly will come up with things. But yeah, it's almost essentially like, oh, I'm too ashamed to ask just straight out. So I'm going to slowly throw out the little jabs of, oh, you know, I'm stressed and I have this going on in life and I have this going on in life. And as a man, and I think the women here notice that naturally we are problem solvers.
For sure.
This is just how we are. It's how we're wired. We hear a problem, we want to try to solve it. And the unfortunate part is like, you know, it's like you don't want to hear a problem and then not be able to try to solve it. Here, you kind of got to learn to just do it, not solve problems. Yeah. But essentially,
that's why I said you better have your game on. You better have your game strapped up tight. You better have no leaks in your boat, man, because they're going to find one and they're going to exploit it. And you hit it. You nailed it right there. The I'm stressed is usually how it starts. It's always how it starts. And yeah,
I gotta give a quick shout out to the Homies Hub, man. A great creator, does a lot of live streams, gives a lot of good information on Colombia. He does a lot of reaction videos and breakdowns. Awesome. So if anybody isn't subbed to him, definitely go check him out. Check his content out. He just had a bomb interview with the scopolamine queen, the Venezolana who got caught and detained, but ended up getting released. So if you guys have not seen that, definitely go check out that interview. You don't want to miss that.
You got a sub coming your way, man.
Yeah. How he even finessed that, I have no idea, because that's not even something I would have thought about doing, is trying to get a girl who is known for scopolamine people to get her in person and interview her. But your boy works magics. He somehow tracked her down and got her, you know, there in person and got an interview out of her.
Well, she was super out in the open about, not out in the open about the drugging, but she never met a camera she didn't like. So
of course.
That's a great thing, man. I met her a couple of times.
Okay.
Valentina Moore. Yes, I met her a few times. And she's so personable. She's so nice. And I'm like, when she got caught up with that, I was like, I see how she got people, how she got them. She's good.
Yeah.
Good at
I
that.
would say my thoughts on it are, I mean, I watched, I literally was in the stream.
I'm gonna go watch that interview for sure.
He had a whole live on it, and I was watching the live and kind of, giving my input as well.
Yeah.
And my I would just say my overall thing is I think, and it's unfortunate because, and I don't want to say it just because she's Venezolana, but she just has this very kind of like sleazy kind of vibe to her. And it seems like if an opportunity presented itself, she would take the opportunity. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule, like 80% of people will steal if they think they won't get caught, so she definitely hits me as that she's in that 80%, and
I'd never trust money on the table around her for sure.
And with someone like that, it's like if guys aren't coming forward to press charges or, make a case, then they essentially just release these girls when it happens. Then, there's kind of like, all right, well, there's no consequence. So I'm just going to continue to do it. But anyways, let's get through the rest of these questions real quick.
We'll talk about some of the stuff you guys have in the live. In the chat.
How did you navigate the social stigma of the industry in your own life while you were a talent scout, or obviously because it's not like you're a doctor or a teacher.
No. So. No, I mean, what's really funny is I went to I didn't do my thesis, but I went to grad school for psychology to be a psychologist. And the reason I didn't go through with it is I did my externship and was piloting with an actual therapist. And the irony of doing that is when I said I cannot listen to other people's problems all day when it's tougher mentally than to be a psychologist and to hear other people's stuff all the time. You can't be like an empathetic person and do that. You can be empathetic, but at some point, and it was 6 months for me, it just beat me into the ground. Like, I can't do this. I'm not made for this. But then I go and do this job, which is like, Jesus, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. But what it did is one of the biggest things that it did for me as far as navigating the stigma of it is I didn't really tell people what I did. I would say I work for a streaming platform, and I was I could tell people, hey, I work for Penthouse, and right away. Okay, so if I didn't care about somebody, if I was like, who gives a shit about this person? Yeah, I work for Penthouse. Mm-hmm. I'm a talent scout for Penthouse. So there was a lot of that. My mom didn't tell people what I did. She said, "Oh, he works in the tech industry." That's it.
Yeah, of course.
So, and I never pressured her about it. Her friends are all old school. They're all boomers. So, they're not going to understand it. But, at the same time, it was tough. Sometimes it was tough. Like if I would meet somebody who's really serious, like after I left the industry, I wanted to start my own streaming platform. It was kind of the bridge between Twitch and the webcam industry. I didn't want to go full webcam. I didn't want to go full Twitch. Essentially what Kick is now. And actually Kick, the people who own Kick wanted to buy our platform at one point. And I said no, because I didn't want to deal with gambling stuff. But one of the problems I had with raising capital was I would have to say, yeah, I worked in the webcam business for 12 years, 13 years. And they're like, oh, well, we don't invest in sex companies. I'm like, it's not a sex company, but that it follows you for sure. And even here, I had to deal with some of a little bit of stigma when it came to it. Not now, because it's so normalized. And like somebody said, part of the problem here is that it's normalized. It's so normalized here in Colombia now. I think that's normalized worldwide. It's becoming a normal thing. I don't think it's a great thing for society. I think it's a hurtful thing.
Yeah. All right. So was there ever a moment where you realized the job was significantly different than what you had imagined it would be?
I don't think I went into it with open eyes because I did work for 4 years on the tech side of it, so I knew what I was getting myself into.
Okay.
I think my moment of this changed was, I can't say everything that changed with it, but I went to a place in Romania, one of the studios there, with a bald red pill idiot who is the studio owner and who has a brother who works with them. You can figure that out. I went to see them, and there were some things that I saw that were there that disgusted me to no end. And I came back and told my CEO. I walked into his office and I said, "Never send me back to Romania. I will never go back to that place as long as I live. If you're going to fire me for not going back to Romania, tell me before and I'll quit, because I'm never going back there." And it's nothing against Romania. It was just at that moment what I saw, I projected to that. And off camera, I'll tell you what I saw. It was some of the worst. But yeah, it's still, I'm not gonna go public with that one. But it's still at the same point. It's that I saw the dirty side of the industry, and I still haven't recovered from dealing with that. So it's like, yeah, you do see one of the bad things is you see humanity sometimes at its worst. You see guys at their base desires, and we'll do anything for that. Sometimes some guys will do anything for it, like selling your house and going to the Philippines to be with your Philippine girlfriend who does webcam.
Yep. So this last question is going to be something kind of AI based.
Sure.
With kind of the rise of AI, and you have like AI models and stuff like that, which is leading to a lot of people getting scammed and finessed out of money and stuff with these new AI things. Do you think it would be easier for someone, or would be easy to start some type of AI webcam business, like using AI or something like that now?
Sure. I think it would be very easy. I think right now, I think that if you were to do that, you could be successful at it, but you have to be upfront that it's AI. So you are going to eliminate a big chunk of the market, because why am I going to talk to an AI girl that I'll never meet? But why are you talking to a webcam model that you ain't never gonna meet either?
Yeah, true.
So once guys overcome that, I think it's going to be a big thing. I think that's going to be a big future as to where this stuff goes. It's already there for OnlyFans girls. There are already a lot of girls doing AI OnlyFans content.
It's wow, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, so the girls have to be real. To get through you can't fake through some sub. You cannot do it. You can't fake an ID. They're so good that if you got a fake ID that wasn't made at the government factory, at the government place, they're going to pick it up and they're going to say no. So you can't, all the guys are like, oh, well, that's a fake girl on OnlyFans. You can't do that. That's a real girl at some point. That's a real human being that's on that account. But there are AI built, there are LLMs that are built for sex work. And it's so like if you tell ChatGPT or Nano Banana, make me an image of Salma Hayek in a bikini, they won't do it. But there are LLMs that do. And these girls will say, hey, put me this picture of me. Here's me naked. Make me in the top floor of the Burj Khalifa, and give me 20 images of that, and it does it like that. So that's where a lot of these girls that are taking pictures in like Paris and Dubai and all these other places, they're not really there. They're just doing it for OnlyFans content, only for content. And they are actually making, it's not good yet, but they are making
videos. AI porn.
Yeah, it's there. It's not there is in terms of quality, but it's there in quantity.
Okay. Yeah, you know, it was something I kind of figured out, you know, because you already have people falling in love with just chat bots, you know, so I can only imagine with the whole AI girlfriend, you know, thing it's probably here already, but
Yeah, I think
it's
we're
just
already
not,
there. Bro. I think we're already there.
it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
you know, there are tons of, I've seen women that have AI boyfriends, one girl who just got married to her AI boyfriend. So
I
that
think
is
women
kind
are
of a
more
way,
susceptible to that than guys are. I think that women are way more susceptible to forming a deep emotional connection. Look at what happened like a year ago when ChatGPT when they upgraded their system and it took out that emotional portion. The people went crazy because now he's not talking to me the same way he was. It's like, ooh,
yeah.
this is why we have to be careful with AI.
Yep. Yep. All right. So that's it for the questions. I'll try to go through some of these comments.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, it's a lot of comments here. All right. So the first one here, this one says, I feel that the algorithms are lower for newer independent models, not as many viewers. Is this rigged?
No, actually, most of the sites they realize that new girls they're going to get that immediate push,
Yeah.
that immediate bump of like people coming in. They're going to get that like, oh, the new girl in town kind of vibe going. So they promote them for about a week, and then after that, they expect them in that week to really push, to really get guys interested and get them going to their Instagram page so they know when they're coming online, all that stuff. But at the same time, independent models, no, they don't care. There's no grand conspiracy for that. It's whoever makes the most money gets the top priority on the site.
Yeah, I figured, I feel like almost that it would be smart to give them almost like the Tinder effect or dating app effect. When you create a new profile, they give you all this push to kind of make you feel good and also keep you motivated to stay on the app. I think it would be the same thing with women where you want a lot of attention to go their way. So they, you know, they stay motivated. Maybe they make some money, and money is always the best motivator, you know, to keep someone motivated to keep doing something.
Yes,
so
we're dealing with women. Attention brings them attention. If you give a woman attention and she looks pretty and she feels gorgeous all the time and she feels happy, and she'll stay. She'll stay, even if she's only making a little bit of money. As long as she's making her monthly nut, she'll be good.
That's true. Next comment here says, hello, lads. The Colombian women on average, the average Colombian woman is more beautiful than an average English woman down in England. I'm guessing he was trying to say, to be honest.
Yeah, to be frank. He's from the UK. I know him.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I think the women here, it's a genetic mixing pot. It's a genetic melting pot, especially here in Medellin. There's a lot of Spanish. There's a good mix of like the indigenous DNA and the Spanish DNA. I think all of Colombia is kind of the same thing. And there's on the coast, there's the African DNA mixed with all of it. It's a beautiful mix of people. They're gorgeous, gorgeous women.
So this is my thought, and you've been living here for a while. I've been living a lot longer than I have, but I feel this way, and this is my thought. And I have the same thought about Rio, which is another city that is kind of known for amongst like a lot of beauty. So my opinion on Brazil is, yes, women are naturally beautiful there, but I think a lot of the attraction factor is played into with Rio is that you're going to see women in bikinis a lot. So you're practically almost seeing women in their underwear a lot, which heightens the attraction factor. Now, not saying like genetically and looks and stuff, but it does kind of add this extra element of you're constantly seeing women in practically their underwear. So it heightens that kind of part of it. Now, for those of you who don't know, I lived in Rio for 3 months back in like 2011. I was just there in 2025 for a week for a bachata festival because I do dance bachata. And I had the same thought when I recently went back there was, yeah, the women are pretty, they're beautiful, but at least in Rio, it's a lot of it is because, you know, there's such a huge beach culture. Of course, everyone is a little bit more fit, but because they're constantly going to be practically in underwear. Now, when it comes to Medellin, yes, the women are beautiful, but to me, and I rate, you know, let's say we're going on a scale from 1 to 10,
Mhm.
5 is in the middle of that average, you know,
Yeah.
5 is the middle point. Most people say, oh, okay, well, the average woman in Colombia is a 7. To me personally, I think that the average woman is a 5. Like when you just walking around everywhere, you're not seeing what I would consider a 7, and 7 is really
No.
close to 8.
Yeah.
8, 9s, and 10s are the ones that are constantly being like flown out. They're constantly, you know, being monetized.
They're going to Dubai to
But it's not just the average woman. When you just walk around through the mall, you go to the empanada stand, you're not seeing a 7 at the empanada stand. You're not seeing at the gas station. When I go to get gas, the women behind the counter, not all of them are, you know, 7 or 8. So
I would say that Colombia has the top end women here in beauty are world class. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of just average women here, and they're beautiful in their own way. The other part of it too is I think that there's like, and probably in Brazil as well. I went to Sao Paulo, I went there last year, which doesn't have the same like beach culture that Rio does. And I mean, maybe, you know what it is too? I think that living here, and this is going to break a lot of people. I'm going to break some hearts here with this one. You get kind of desensitized to it. I
was literally just about to say the same thing. The same.
And when I went to Sao Paulo, I was like, God, these girls are beautiful. They're okay, great. Okay. My whole focus when I was going there, I got to drive on the racetrack at Interlagos. So my whole thing was like, oh my God, I'm going to drive on the racetrack at Interlagos. This is going to be incredible. I wasn't thinking about like, oh my God, look at that girl. Look at that girl. Look at that girl. My neck wasn't breaking. I was just, they're beautiful, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think once you've been like, especially in Medellin, where it's supposed to be the most beautiful women, you just start getting accustomed to it. And that it's almost like you're, if you ever experience, like they say, okay, well, if you skydive, supposedly that experience, you're never able to reach that kind of high again of like adrenaline, excitement, whatever. It's kind of like the same thing here, where you've seen the most beautiful of the beautiful, and you just get your dopamine level now has just risen, and that's your new norm now. It's not like, oh, you're down here and you're used to seeing like overweight American women, and now you come to Colombia and you're like, damn, all these women are just beautiful.
And it breaks the fantasy. It breaks that like that fantasy of like
get accustomed to it. Now that 7, or what the average guy in the States would consider a 7, to us now it's just a 5. Or the other thing that happens as well is that because a lot of these women share a lot of the same genetic makeup, they just all start looking the same or familiar.
And they do. They really do.
You're like, damn, she looks familiar. Like, I think I might have talked to her before, or you know, I might have dated her before or something, because they just all look familiar. Like they just start.
There's a bit of the Kardashian effect too, where they all start to base their look off Kim Kardashian, with the big operated ass and the tits and all that stuff and giant lips, and it's like they do that, and they do go to that. And I think you're right. There is a homogenous look to the girls here, especially the beautiful ones. Yeah, they're beautiful, but you know, okay. But what else? And you know what it does is it makes personalities that much more important on a girl. It really does.
Yeah, and this comes into where I always was saying, like, it's almost like you rather have a girl who's a project, you know, a girl who's not the most beautiful, but maybe she has a great personality, but you can, you know, fix up her style or whatever, help her dress better, whatever it is, and kind of mold her into what you want her to be, versus just trying to go after the ones that are pre-assembled or whatever. John Steff had a question here. He asked, did you ever have an ethical dilemma about working in the adult industry?
You know, I know this will sound bad, but I never really did. Up until the end. At the end, I started to see a lot more of it that I didn't want to see based on that incident in Romania. It really changed how I thought. But I really did. I just kind of justified everything that happens with like, well, that's the industry. This is what I'm doing. What am I going to do? Pays my bills.
Yeah. So, hey, Wizard, he asks, he says, I have friends who do OnlyFans management. Probably the quickest way to become a millionaire from scratch with no money.
You're selling your soul to it. I know what he's saying, and I can't disagree with it. But how much frustration are you going to have to deal with along the way? You have no idea how little women want to work until you do that. The women that do that, beautiful women, getting them to work, you might as well just grab a pair of pliers and start pulling your teeth out because it's the same fucking pain.
Yeah, I was watching a live of the guy. I don't know if he's still in here, if Homie's Hub is still in here, but he was talking about this similar thing, like how hard it is. Like women here just don't want to work, and that he would offer a girl to come over to clean his apartment, and he'd be like, "Hey, I'll pay you X amount, like 200 mil pesos, whatever, to clean an apartment." And they would say, "Oh no, they rather do like something, rather do something sexual than actually clean it."
How about if I come to your apartment, I'll clean it, and then I'll S your D for an extra 100,000. And I want to make it like it's a joke, but it's happened so much. It happens all the time, and then they don't even show up after that. So, or they show up and you have to pay for their taxis to and from. You have to buy them lunch, and I'll just clean my own place. Thanks.
So the next comment here is, well, the personalities is up and down in Colombia, in Colombia, moody, just like the rest of the world. But most men like us tend to forget about personality and just go for looks anyways. I mean, obviously, every man wants to acquire the most beautiful woman he can as possible. That's just men. Also, too, like we know as men, other men judge us based on the woman that we're with. So if this is why most men just don't want to be with some fat, ugly girl or maybe some fat mid girl who may cook, clean, and be the most down for you type chick. But, in a world of status, where status is respect. The more beautiful a woman is, the more respect you're going to get and the more status you're going to get from it.
We call those girls mopeds. They're fun to ride. You just don't want your friends to see you riding one. But it's true. It's 100% true. We're, I think he's right to a point, but at the same time, it's to our destruction that we do that.
So T-Max says, I'm worried about my daughters. I have one daughter who's half Japanese and one half Colombian. Both will be beautiful young ladies. Got to hope they will remember their values. It's like Chris Rock said, man, you got to keep them off the pole. Got to keep them off the pole.
Anything you can do to keep them off the pole, man. I know T-Mac, and he's a good dude. And it's just, what it comes down to? It's we got to stay present in our daughters' lives. I pester my daughter. I'm not like a helicopter person at all, but with her I am. I'll always message her, hey, how you doing, sweetheart? How you doing? She doesn't live in Medellin, she lives outside. So we do video calls once a week. We talk all the time. And her mom messaged me when they first moved and said, will you stop? Just stop. Back off. I'm like, no, I will never back off.
If I end up having a daughter here in Colombia, I'm moving to a pueblo. You guys heard it here first.
She lives in a pueblo because of that.
Exactly.
My mom and I made that decision.
I'm gonna have to go for the quiet life and move to a pueblo.
Do not have raise your daughter in this city. It will destroy her.
Nino says, this is crazy, flying out to another country to wife up a box seller. On top of that, take care of their kids. That's a mental issue. Yeah, the
thing is a big problem in this world right now.
But the thing is, it's not only foreigners that are coming here and that are doing it. It's also local men as well. Local men are dating those same type of women. But I mean, the crazy thing to me is how you have a lot of guys who maybe in the States, they'll say one thing, like, for example, I would never date a woman who does S work. I would never date a woman who have kids or whatever it may be. But then they come here to Colombia and then they start making all types of exceptions, dealing with maybe what would be considered less desirable women in the States, but they're dealing with those women here because they're pretty or, maybe it's maybe that, okay, once you've been here for a while, you realize, okay, how hard beauty is to obtain, and you're only going to get a girl that is extremely, extremely beautiful if you're getting her at what I would say is what would be equivalent of a discount, where you have to take her because she has kids, or you have to take her because she does some type of job that isn't where most guys aren't going to deal with her.
Yep. Maybe we're paying for it one way or the other. We're paying for it with, she's got kids, it's an easy one. If she's beautiful, you are going to be paying for Botox. You're going to be paying for hair, for nails, for this, for that, blah, 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 blah. With everything. You are going to pay. You're going to pay somewhere or the other.
Rob BX says always will be a simp that sponsors a 304. Yeah, 100%. Always. 1J54 says the women here seem to be easily influenced by the lifestyle. True. Yeah, one thing you got to understand is that women naturally consume more social media than men do. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you're around any woman here for a significant amount of time, you're going to see that they're on Instagram or TikTok a lot. And they're constantly scrolling or tapping, going through Instagram stories. And what a lot of these women do is they follow women that they want to look like and that they want to be like. You know, they want to emulate their lifestyle or their life. So once they see that, they're like, oh, well, I want the trip to Dominican Republic. I want the trip to San Andres or Santa Marta or whatever, or other countries. You know, so instantly that of course that starts to influence their mind, and they start chasing those same exact things. And
who is going to provide that for me?
And they start acting like those same exact girls, where it's so annoying here, but you get the girls that are constantly, you know, doing the singing into the phone typing. It's like almost like a cookie cutter type behavior here that is just super, super annoying to see, especially if you're like in the middle of a date and the girl wants to whip out her phone.
Yes.
So did I. You have a girl whip out her phone and start doing this like singing and trying to like look all good to essentially post that content to her Instagram story or to her status on WhatsApp, so other guys will heart it and comment about it. Yep. It's super annoying, but it's something that you have to deal with.
Okay, if you're going to post pictures of the food or the place or whatever. But I don't even like that. I don't even like that. I'll deal with it, but when you're making thirst traps right in front of me when we're at dinner, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah. So what I usually do is on my first date, and I've had it happen enough to where it annoys the shit out of me. So I'll just be like, look, I only have a couple of rules. One is have fun. Two is we enjoy the moment. We're here in this moment. I'm not going to pull out my phone. You don't pull out your phone. I don't want to record all, be recording everything. So let's just enjoy each other's company. And usually once I say that, I never have a woman do it. But if I don't say it,
I've only had a few problems with that.
But if I don't say it, or if I don't tell them that, they're going to, you will get some that are going to whip out the phone and start trying to record. They're going to do this, and they're going to jump right over you and record everything else.
And they're playing with their hair and doing.
So yeah, but yeah, this is, women tend to be hive-minded, and they kind of follow each other.
And here it's all about appearance, so it's even more so.
Yeah, appearance is their social currency, or it is their currency. So, and this is why I say it would almost be stupid for the girls here who are extremely beautiful to not try to monetize that, their looks or their beauty.
We're just can't do it.
The example that I gave before, this would be like you're in college, you're a 5-star recruit, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to go to the draft.
Yeah.
That's your meal ticket. That's like going to take care of your life
because I like the way it looks. Yeah, no, you're going to go to Alabama or Ohio State or something. Come on. Yeah, we can't. We're just guys that say, I would never do that. Yeah, because you can't. That's why.
Yeah. Homie Sub says these women are just evil, bro. There's no other way to put it.
mean, I want to say the ones at the top end, their mentality is warped. And he's not wrong per se, but I don't think all of them are. But I think that the high end, like 8, 9s, and 10s, yeah, they're not good people. They're generally speaking not good people because they haven't had to they've been pretty their whole lives. So they've never had to cultivate a personality or have empathy for somebody that can't do something for them. So that's
go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So I was going to say, you have to think about it this way. So if you're born into a single parent household, more than likely it's your mom. So you're not going to have the discipline that you're supposed to have normally, which will come from your father, right? Secondly, you're not going to have the most, I would say, sufficient relationship with a man that you need to have is with the first example, which would be your father. So you take those two elements, right? You take those two elements.
You have to defend yourself against uncles that are trying to molest you. I mean,
So on top of that, right, you have to now take into account, you hit puberty, and now it's no longer just the boys in your schools that are making comments. It's now grown men, right? It may be uncles, it may be just regular random men in the barrio or wherever that are now starting to make comments and compliment you or whatever. And these women learn what their beauty gets them, or what weight it holds from usually a young age. It's usually around their teenage years. So as they're getting older, they're now starting to learn, okay, I know I'm pretty, I know that I can get this, I can get that. Now if you were given pretty much, let's just say from your adolescence year, your teenage years forward, you're constantly given everything for free, you're constantly being complimented, you're being told you're a princess, you're being told you're beautiful, everything is being paid for, and you're offered this and invited to here and this event and whatever. By the time you hit 21 or 22, you would be a horrible person as well. So, and this only gets worse as they get older and they have more time under their belt to learn.
Into them now. Yeah.
For
so sure. I told one of my homies there, I said it, that I think the women, the beautiful women here stop maturing at 14. The moment they get hips and tits, they stop maturing because they don't have to emotionally mature. Yeah, they're physically matured and they see the world, but their personality stops growing then.
Yeah, agree. Kenny says, y'all get the IV in the arm yet? Yeah, that's like a WhatsApp group picture they all send around.
Oh yeah. Man, no, I've seen it where they'll get their headphone cables and they'll wrap it around their wrist. Like, first of all, they don't do IVs in your wrist. They do it up here, dummy. Don't. And now some of these girls are starting to learn to use AI to build pictures. So they'll say, "Oh yeah, no, it's because back in the day, you used to be able to see they would use somebody else's arm, and if they have a tattoo on their arm and it's not there, it's like, where'd your tattoo go? Oh, well, they flipped the other way, and then they put in the other arm. So now they're just like, this is my arm, put an IV in it. And AI is good, man.
Oh, man, I didn't even know that.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Now, I had a girl, I heard a guy, and I think he'll be okay with me telling it. I just won't say who he is. He got a picture, he got an X-ray image of a girl, of her shoulder with a bullet in it. And she said she took a stray from her neighborhood. And she needs $500,000 to do the surgery. And I'm like, wow. Oh my God. And I went and looked at the metadata of the picture, and it came directly from Nano Banana. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, bro, don't do it. Stay away from it.
Damn.
Yeah, they're evolving. What? You got to be on it, man. These girls are evolving at a crazy rate.
Wow, that's crazy.
I got the empty refrigerator picture a bunch of times as well.
Yeah, I've gotten the refrigerator picture. Mm-hmm. I have to say this though. This is just like one of the things you have to kind of deal with when you are going to be dating women from, as they would say here, barrios bajo, or like the lower neighborhoods. Is that you're just gonna have to deal with those type of women, and of course it's harder to find women who are more sophisticated and beautiful that live in the higher barrios, like, you know, a poblado or something like that, because they're generally in social circles we just may not be able to penetrate or will ever penetrate.
For sure.
Because we're foreigners, but
and they take a lot more work too. That's not quick and easy. And I hate to say it, but guys are coming here to maximize their time to get the most beautiful women they can. And sorry guys, that's not reality.
Kevin says, great interview, guys, at Passport Graffiti. I think I came across you through another guy who's a buddy of yours, whose name I cannot remember right now, and Medellin Unfiltered, I just subscribed. That's what's up, man. Yeah, Medellin Unfiltered, he has a lot of good, I would say, you know, original content that you're not really going to see anywhere. He talks about a lot of good, you know, has a lot of good talking points. Sometimes I'm going to admit it here on live that I've stolen some of your talking points or your titles.
We're all good with it. But, I can safely say that I wouldn't even be doing this if I didn't do interview with Andrew Macia. So I mean, we're all in the same thing. We're all, it's not stealing. We're just helping each other out. And actually, one thing that people don't know that aren't in the YouTube sphere here, we all talk to each other. We all help each other out. It's just because, you know, we're all outsiders here. We're all, you know, we're doing our best to make it. So I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much, Kevin.
All right. Homies Hub says, I said this on my stream. The Colombian women will destroy your, what is that? Dopamine? Will destroy your dopamine level from beauty. Yeah, 100%. That is
1,000,000%. Yes.
That is facts. I could not have said that better.
It's 100% true. I can't think of a better way to voice that. But yeah, it's 100% true. You can go to Santa Fe or Viva Envigado, and you'll see some of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life. It's just, you're like, my God, this is why I'm here. This is, but at the end of the day, you're just like, meh, is it worth it? Nah.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. I'm at the point where it's like, oh God, is it worth the headache to go and approach that girl? And no, not always.
Yeah, it's some of the stuff you have to go through with just the process of dating can burn you out. And I've known guys who've gotten burned out from, like, you think you will get used to it, but you never get used to the flakiness. You don't get used to the being late.
I
hate that word. I hate that fucking word.
It could mean 30 seconds to 10 years. It could be anything, any time point in between those two.
Yeah, it's like in English, we have a definitive, like, okay, this means later. Okay, cool. I have an idea of later or soon. Okay, cool. It's soon. Yeah. But it's just like, oh, this is an in-between word of, it can mean anything.
Yeah. The other one that drives me crazy is when they, the other thing that they say that drives me crazy is, I'll be there at 8. But when they say I'll be there at 8, it means I'll be there when the first number on the clock says 8. So that could be between 8 o'clock and 8:59. They'll be there sometime then. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there waiting like, oh my God, it's 8:45. And they pull up, hey, like nothing. And it's part of the culture. It's just part of the culture here.
I do have to say this, though. I think that you have to kind of train the girls that you're dealing with here, because I looked at it this way. I looked at it this way, right? Like, these girls will not show up an hour late to work.
No.
Right? No. But they'll show up an hour late to meet up with you or some family event or something, because it just doesn't have that much importance. So the more you stress it and you kind of put a lot of emphasis on, like, look, this is what I meant by we're going to meet at 8. Like, I remember when I first got here, I would tell girls like, hey, all right, well, we're going to meet at 8. And at 8 o'clock, they would just start getting ready. And you're like, did you not understand what we're going to meet at 8 meant? Like, it doesn't mean start getting ready at 8.
What I will say is, and I'll say this to everyone, I'm going to speak directly to every guy here, boys, you have to never be afraid to walk away from the table here. If a girl says, I'll be there at 8, and she is there at 8:50, and you're still waiting like a sucker, You are training her to that being okay. What you have to do is you have to say, what they say is, oh, I'm sitting in traffic. I'll be there soon. Traffic here it's bad, but it's not that bad. I'm not asking you to go from one side of Bogota to the other. Okay. That Bogota's got bad traffic, but they'll use that as an excuse. Like you said, they're masters of excuses here. Masters, if you let them be. But you have to, if that happens, you got to say, you know what? I already left because my time's valuable. And you have to say that. And you may be, putting an 8, you may be binning an 8 or a 9, but she doesn't respect you enough to be there on time. And I know that it's part of their culture, but I see it that way. I'm there when I tell you I'm going to be there. I expect you to do the same.
Yeah, my first experience with that and where I learned extremely quickly. I mean, normally in the States, I wouldn't do it, but, you're kind of conditioned here to think, oh, they're going to be late. You have to kind of excuse it as part of the culture. But the first time
you're going to be there at 8, but you really get there at 8:30. Yeah.
Or like, so the first time that I had it happen to me was a girl was like an hour and 40 minutes late.
Oh
and
God.
I just left. I was like, you know what? Like I waited the hour and she's like, oh, I'm on my way. I'm in traffic.
Turn around and go home. Turn around and go home. Because
of course I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I waited. And after that certain amount of time, I was like, look, this is just disrespectful at this point.
Yeah.
So
they don't see it as a disrespect. That's the bad thing. They see it as, oh, well, this is just our culture. And it's like, no, this is a cultural difference that is between U.S. culture, Western culture, and culture in Latin America. It's just
the funny thing though is it's not okay it's okay if they're late.
Oh, but if you're late,
late.
What the hell's wrong with you?
We can't be late. Like if they even have to wait 15 minutes, it's an issue.
Oh,
you're getting blown
up. Blow up your phone. She's gonna be on that phone. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Hey, hello, hola. Where are you? ¿Dónde estás? Yeah.
All right, guys. So this was a good live. I know you have stuff you probably got to do for the rest of the day.
I have no food in my house right now. My dog she's lost like 18 pounds. She has food. She has food. I don't.
But appreciate everybody who joined the live here. Hopefully it was entertaining. Everybody, please go subscribe to Medellin Unfiltered. Like I said, he has a amazing channel that you guys should check out. And that is it for this live. Appreciate you guys joining, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Thank you guys.